Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Everyone's having a great weekend. I had a weekend full of babysitting and getting ready for baptism of my nephew, the newest member of our family. And this weekend taught me a lot about parenting and about helping our future generation. I thought to myself this weekend how many parents live in that state of stress all the time, and they sort of live in this, because I was stressed, guys. Like when I tell you I was like, not like, you know how you like you're actively stressed. I was like actively not like I felt like I couldn't really get to the bottom of like why I was stressed. And then I started to go, I can't control this. Like the kids are going to do what they're going to do. But it's still like, I understand now why parents have a more stressed out, I don't know. I'm always like a fan of, you have to kind of go through other people's shoes to see what it's like on the other side. And it actually gave me a lot of insight into why parents are stressed and why, and I think a lot of, kids will be kids, but I also do believe that when you are disciplining your kids and you're, both parents are on the same train of thought and what have you, it's a lot easier. So, but I came on today to talk about living in the past and probe the question, are you living in the past? I think a lot of people don't realize the stories they play in their heads or the things that they talk to themselves like every day, and how that can kind of play out in your own life. So for an example, if you're always thinking about your debt or always thinking about bills you have to pay or what have you, you're always going to be that's your mind is on the problem as opposed to the solution. If somebody attacked you or somebody insulted you and you don't know how to like guard yourself and also like stay in a good space mentally, you could think about that scenario that happened 3 weeks ago, a month ago, 3 years ago, what have you. So if you're living in that past experience, you're constantly like, whenever that kind of comes up, if you don't forgive it, you're always going to be living in that past. And then your body is going to stay in that sympathetic nervous system state, right? So, hi, Amanda. Good morning. So my thought process on how to help you guys is just think about your train of thought and stop it. When you start hearing yourself go down that road of living in your past, or going down that road of, oh crap, I have to pay my bill. I like to I sort of started doing this recently, where it's, as opposed to, oh, I have to pay this bill, think of it. And I know it's going to sound like, oh man, of course you would say that. Like, no, it's true. Like when you start thinking about like, I get to pay my bills, or I get to do XYZ, people who come into my office that are less than kind or less than, that need help but are meeting me with this like super negative energy, it's because they're living in that, right? I actually can't take it personally, because I am, people come to me for light, they come to me for hope, they come to me to feel good. So as my mentors always say, like, you can't meet people like this when they're like this. Like, you can't meet people in that state of mind, because they won't listen to you, because they are not there, right? So when you have somebody in your life, anybody in your life who you are constantly saying, you can get past this, you can get past this, you have to still meet them in that tone of where they're at. Honestly, a lot of times I find people stuck in their past, and you have to, it takes time to break people of that cycle of, you aren't your past, you are not your what that person did to you 5 or 6 or 20 years ago. I have people in their 50s and 60s who are still living in this like train of thought that they got hurt or abused 20 years ago. Kate, how you doing? They got hurt or abused 20 years ago, and they can't let go of that feeling because it was so traumatizing for them. And people don't think that emotion will affect their body, and it will. So I think it's so hard, because I feel like people think that health is this like one direction thing. And it's like, I almost call it like a 3-dimensional, 4, 5, 6 dimensional sort of healing process, in that You have to communicate. No one can read your mind. You have to be open and honest, right? No, like if you're getting help from a practitioner, you have to be very honest with them, because practitioners like myself, we want to help you. We want to genuinely give you and I'm here to expose stuff, right? Like I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff anymore. I've done that. And then, I get to a point with a client where I'm like, you're not healing because of this reason, right? And most people don't want to confront that reason. So I think a lot of it comes down to being honest with you, and comes down to being honest with you that you've been lied to for so long, if not your whole life, and you're living in your past. In order to truly heal, you have to realize that our entire medical system is fraud. Our entire financial system is fraud. Everything is a lie. So the more that you can come out of that, and I can meet you, like, listen, this is where, as practitioners, we have empathy of where you're at. So don't be afraid of like, oh, well, Matt's here, so he's better than me. No, I'm not better than anybody, right? We really do come from a place of wanting to educate you, and to really be honest with you, because there's so much healing that can happen in, actually, I think, a very short period of time. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I've seen clients heal from major things in months, right? Some took a little longer, but like, it really is possible to heal the body. The body is a natural healing machine. I will also say, I had a client last week who is a nurse practitioner, got her cycle back to almost normal within like almost 2 weeks, right? So then got her back to feeling good. And then on a Sunday, she ate something with that was very processed, very high in sugar, instantly got a headache, instantly started to get angry and nauseous. And what else happened? I think that was it. Yeah, instantly got angry, instantly got nauseous, and was instantly fueled with feelings of like wanting to like tear into her husband. And I just said to her, like, what did you like? And then she said, what is that from? Like, and I said, you're testing for food. Did you eat something over the weekend? She was like, well, Matt, I did have this like thing that my family makes. And I was like, well, can you tell me what's in it? And it was like all this processed food, candy, all this stuff. And I was like, I hate to tell you, but like, you ate something that your body didn't like, and it caused your system to kind of go haywire, right? And then you do get into that depressive state. And this is what nobody wants to talk about, is that when you eat like crap, you're going to feel like crap, and then you're not going to want to do anything, right? So everyone always says to me, oh, it's so expensive to be healthy. And I'm like, it's actually not. It's a different shift of the mind, sure, and that might take some work, but it's actually not more expensive to be healthy, because when you really think about it, I might eat 2 meals a day, sometimes I eat 1, and you're getting those nutrients, and then you're performing better. So when you perform better, you're no longer in the past of like, oh, I hate my job, or oh, blah, those like downer, like negative thoughts. Now your body's performing really well. So now you can perform really well at your job. And if you don't like your job, when your body starts to heal on a quantum level, you actually might quit your job, which has happened to me with many clients in the past year, where they just quit their job because they're just realizing, as their body gets healthier, they're like, this isn't worth it. It's not worth it. I'm like, I hate to say that every time I do quantum on people, their whole life is kind of like, whoop, 180, right? And that's a good thing, because it means that they weren't living in their purpose. They weren't pursuing a passion. They were just kind of like autonomously floating through life, which sucks. So if I'm here to say anything, it's don't be afraid to change your thought pattern. Don't be afraid to stop the conditioning that you've been believed is right. Don't be afraid to do something different and to try something new. Sure, in the moment, it's going to be really terrifying and really scary, and you're not going to know what to expect. Like, that's everything new that comes into your life. But when you press into that, like, there's been probably 6 things that have happened to me this year alone in the past. So what? May, we're 5 months in the past 5 months, that I'm like, okay, I'm going to step into this. I don't know what's going to happen. But every time I just committed and I did it, it blew up my life in such a good way that now I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to keep going. I want to keep doing that. Right. And part of that is being content. but part of it is also being content while also, really pushing yourself out of the comfort zone. So if there's any advice I can give you going into the week, it's don't allow yourself to live in your past, right? I understand we've all been hurt, we've all had trauma, we've all had things happen to us. I get it. And I'm sorry that happened to you, whatever it may be. I tell people all the time, my clients, like when my dad passed away, I never thought I was going to feel better. I thought I was going to be depressed for the rest of my life. And my dad's passing threw me into a world of healing that I never thought was possible. So like that was my past. I could have let my past just dictate my future, but I didn't, right? I picked myself up and I stopped listening and stopped surrounding myself with negative people. And I really just started to, and honestly, I hate to say this, but I started to kind of isolate myself a little bit in a good way to sort of start going and looking at my life and going, who do I want in my life? Because I don't think people realize that when you surround yourself with negative, pessimistic people, clients, what have you, it really can make an impact on your life, and it can really challenge your thought process. Like I've had a couple people come into my office that I've had to let go of, and not in a negative way, just like in a way of, listen, you need to start healing yourself. Like you need to kind of sit with yourself and look in the mirror and start to realize that you don't know what you're talking about. And I have that conversation quite a bit. Like you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to health. Like you just don't. And a lot of people use Dr. Google to diagnose themselves. And unfortunately, like I always say, like, how's that gotten you? It hasn't gotten you very far, has it? Because you're just diagnosing yourself with things that you found on Facebook or that, you Instagrammed or something like that. And that's not health. And that's because we've been so programmed to think that we can do everything, that we don't need help, that we don't need assistance, that, that we know it all. And that's a very negative way to think, because if you're always thinking, I know everything, you're never going to grow. You're never going to meet new people. You're never going to expand mentally, physically, emotionally, business, whatever. You're just never going to, because you think you've got it all figured out. And that's a thought from the past, because I hate to say it, but people from like further or earlier generations had that mindset of, I'll just figure it out. And then they're the people who almost always live in fear because they are afraid to spend money on quality things, or they're afraid to invest in themselves, or afraid to invest in their future or their kids' future. So a lot of this, I know I keep sort of rambling about it, but that is because a lot of this is from our past. A lot of these, like the train of thoughts are ingrained in our past, and you have to start now to confront them so that in 5 years, in a year, in 6 months, you're going to start going, oh my gosh, like I don't really have those thoughts anymore, or I don't really, surround myself with negative people anymore, or I don't let other people dictate how I want to live my life, or I don't let people judge me on how I know I want to live my life. So just start looking at and I started writing things down in a journal every morning, really good thoughts, really like of where I'm at, where I want to see myself, but everything in the present tense. And that really helped me. So, I said, I earn X amount of dollars. I attract these kinds of people in my life. I have a loving partnership. When you start writing things in the present tense, your body and your mind go to work on wanting to bring that into your life, right? So maybe start looking at just like how you're talking to yourself and how you talk to other people and how you talk to other people about values in their life. I think I always tried, and this is something that I learned from my mentor, is always focus on people's wins first as much as you can. I realize that people who are in practice are like, we always kind of go to like what's wrong, what's going on. But what if you focused on the win first? And it just shifted my whole practice and my whole train of thought as I started seeing her do it. I was like, wow, like that's a really powerful way to start any session, any coaching service is, how are you winning today? Like, what are you doing to win? And what did you win this week or in the past couple of days? Or in the past month, right? Because I think as a society, we're so focused on the future that we almost always forget about what happened, or looking back on your notes and going, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I doubled my income, or I can't believe I found somebody, or I can't believe I'm attracting these kinds of clients into my business. And then you look back and you're like, wait, yes, I can, because I wrote that and I wanted that, right? So the more that you put that out there and the more that you write that, the more you're going to, work on that, and your body's going to go to work on that for you too. So it's like a quantum level of healing, a quantum level of opening up your mind and expansion. And don't be afraid of it, because you're more powerful than you think you are. Okay. So I hope you all have a great, great Sunday, great start to your week. Obviously, if you need me, leave a comment, reach out on yourhealth.life. We are accepting new clients, and we would love to help you in any way we can. So please reach out, and I will talk to you all soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.